Have you ever felt the quiet ache of a relationship slipping through your fingers, unsure of how to hold on? Cassidy knew that feeling all too well. Her once close bond with her son, Caleb, had begun to unravel in ways she couldn't explain, until one day a hidden truth came to light that would change everything. Welcome, friends, to a story about trust, betrayal, and the unshakable power of love. What Cassidy discovered will leave you questioning just how far we're willing to go for the people who matter most. Let's dive in. Cassidy had always been protective of her son Caleb, so when he started acting distant after school, she decided to place a recorder in his backpack, hoping to catch any potential bullying. Listening back, she expected to hear children's voices, but instead, the familiar voice of her best friend Jenna came through the speakers. What Jenna said next left Cassidy in utter disbelief. But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. Cassidy's son, Caleb, hadn't been acting like himself lately. He was grumpier and distant and didn't even say hello when he came home from school. Cassidy had tried to talk to him, but he was always in a hurry to get out of the house again, always off to friends or off to the park. She felt disconnected from her son and unsure how to fix it. Whenever she tried to talk to her son during dinner, the only time they had together lately, he would cut her off and say mean things. And if Cassidy would ignore his mean comments and continue talking to him about her concerns, he would simply take his plate up to his room and finish eating it there. Cassidy was heartbroken by this. It felt like she was losing her son, and she knew she had to do something about it. Talking brought her nowhere, so she had to think of something else. Then she remembered something she had seen in a movie. Once someone used a recording device to find out the truth about something, and that was exactly what she had to do. That same day, she bought a recording device. She had to wait for her son to leave to plant it in his school bag, which didn't take long. Luckily, as soon as she heard the front door fall shut, she grabbed his backpack and took it with her to her room. There, she looked for a small pocket to hide the recorder in. She hid the recorder in his bag but kept it in her room for the night. That way, she could turn the recorder on in the morning just before Caleb would go to school. She sighed at the thought of her plan. Spying on her son didn't feel right, but it was the only thing she could do at this point. That morning, she was woken up by her son ravaging through the house. He slammed the doors and grunted annoyingly. Cassidy heard the commotion and stepped into the hallway, finding Caleb frantically searching without a word. She returned to her room, quickly dressed, and grabbed his hidden backpack. Turning on the recorder, she peeked out, confirming Caleb was still there downstairs. She handed him the backpack. He snatched it and bolted out the door, leaving Cassidy in silence. She sighed. Knowing there was no turning back now, she only hoped the recorder would make it through the day without being found by her son. As the day progressed, Cassidy felt increasingly uncomfortable about what she had done. Her son already disliked her, and she was afraid of what he would think of her if he discovered she had spied on him. Would he want to go live with his father? That was the last thing Cassidy wanted out of this situation, but she couldn't blame him if that were what he wanted. But as the minutes ticked by and her son was still nowhere to be found, Cassidy grew worried. What if he found the recorder and went straight to his father's house in Ohio? Suddenly, the door swung open and Caleb stomped inside. His movements sharp and purposeful, he dropped his backpack onto the dining table with a thud, grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl, and left just as quickly. The door slammed behind him. Cassidy's chest tightened, her mind racing with worry. She feared the worst. Had he discovered the recorder? Her hands moved instinctively as she unzipped his backpack, careful not to disturb its arrangement. Her fingers sifted through books and papers, searching with a growing sense of urgency. The thought of dumping the contents crossed her mind, but she held back, knowing Caleb would notice. Panic rose with every passing moment until her hand finally closed around the familiar device. Relief was fleeting as she quickly concealed it, zipping the bag shut just in time. A sharp presence behind her sent a chill up her spine. Caleb's unrelenting gaze weighed on her as she clutched the recorder hidden in her sleeve. She turned to him with a forced smile, offering a casual excuse about searching for her lucky pen. His departure left her rooted in place, her heart pounding. She retreated to her bedroom, her steps unsteady as emotions swirled inside her. Once there, she placed the recorder in her safe and locked it away, staring at the cold metal box with a mix of guilt and regret. She recalled Caleb as a cheerful boy who once confided in her about everything. The growing distance between them now felt like a chasm, and the recorder seemed like both a lifeline and a betrayal. Cassidy noticed subtle changes in his behavior. A tear-streaked face one evening, muffled cries behind closed doors, and the growing evidence of secrets he guarded fiercely. The recorder became a silent specter, its presence in the safe a constant reminder of her moral dilemma. Late one night, unable to bear the uncertainty, she opened the safe and retrieved the recorder. Her hands trembled as she pressed play. Static filled the air before giving way to the sounds of school life, laughter, teasing, and snippets of conversations. Caleb's voice emerged, layered with emotion she hadn't seen in years. Each word revealed vulnerabilities and struggles he had kept hidden. As she listened, a mix of relief and sorrow washed over her, leaving her torn between the love that drove her actions and the trust she had compromised. But then, amidst the routine chatter, Jenna's voice emerged, its tone warm, yet unmistakably deliberate. Cassidy's heart skipped a beat. Why was Jenna's voice on the recording? Their conversation seemed innocent at first. As the recordings progressed, Jenna's comments turned suggestive. Hints about Cassidy's supposed negligence as a mother, veiled references to their shared secrets. Jenna was not just a passing presence in Caleb's life, she was a deliberate influence, steering him in directions unknown to Cassidy. The interactions between Jenna and Caleb grew more frequent. They discussed movies, books, and shared personal anecdotes. Cassidy's heart sank with every revelation. These were conversations she used to have with her son. Now Jenna had seemingly taken her place, her influence growing with every whispered word. Jenna's dialogues carried undertones of manipulation. There were mentions of better opportunities and people who truly care. The recordings painted a picture of a friend with an agenda, one that was distancing Caleb from his own mother. Jenna's words lingered, a suggestion that Caleb's life would be better away from stress, subtly undermining the stability of his home. The comment wasn't innocent. It was a calculated attempt to reshape Caleb's perspective. With every revelation, a cocktail of emotions surged within Cassidy: anger at Jenna's audacity, guilt for not seeing the signs earlier, and an overwhelming fear about what Jenna's ultimate plan might be. Every recording added another layer to the complex web of deceit and manipulation that had ensnared her son. Taking a moment, Cassidy stopped the playback. She replayed specific segments, trying to derive more meaning, looking for clues to Jenna's intentions. The questions multiplied. Why was Jenna doing this? How deep did this treachery go? And most importantly, how could Cassidy navigate this treacherous terrain to bring her son back from the precipice? Each snippet of conversation unveiled more of Jenna's machinations. The recordings, once a source of guilt for Cassidy, now transformed into windows of revelation. It became apparent that Jenna's interactions with Caleb weren't fleeting. They were intentional, systematic. Was this just friendship, or was Jenna weaving a narrative designed to estrange mother and son? Replaying past encounters with Jenna in her mind, Cassidy began questioning their genuineness. The shared laughs, mutual confidences, moments of support, were they all tainted? The trust that once seemed unbreakable now felt like glass, and Cassidy found herself sifting through memories, searching for the cracks that had been invisible before. Chilling realizations settled over Cassidy. The person she had confided in, leaned on, and shared countless moments with could be jeopardizing her most cherished relationship. While perusing old messages, Cassidy stumbled upon a conversation she'd overlooked. Jenna had once cryptically mentioned giving Caleb some guidance. At the time, Cassidy had brushed it off, but now, with heightened suspicions, that message hinted at a deeper, more calculated interference. The truth, or at least a fragment of it, was in her grasp, yet the path forward remained uncertain. Should she act immediately, potentially risking everything, or should she bide her time, gathering more concrete evidence against Jenna's duplicity? Every fiber in Cassidy wanted to storm up to Jenna and demand answers. But there was the risk of alienating Caleb or pushing him further into Jenna's embrace. A direct confrontation might bring instant gratification, but could jeopardize the larger goal. Late into the night, Cassidy sat with pen and paper, listing down every incident, every interaction, and every clue. She needed a plan, a way to tackle this without causing irreparable damage. As dawn approached, Cassidy revisited old pictures, messages, and memories. She was determined to understand the depth of Jenna's relationship with Caleb. Collating bits of information from different times, a clearer image began to emerge, but still, so many pieces were missing from this intricate puzzle. Before the confrontation, Cassidy knew she needed to be grounded, emotionally stable. With a deep breath, she geared up for the impending storm, hoping that love and truth would guide her way. The atmosphere was thick with tension as Cassidy faced Jenna. "What have you been doing with Caleb?" she demanded, her voice betraying a mix of fear and anger. Jenna's eyes widened momentarily, clearly not expecting such a direct confrontation. Both women stood locked in a silent battle, but Cassidy was determined to get to the bottom of things. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jenna replied, her voice quivering ever so slightly. Every evasion, every vague answer only fueled Cassidy's suspicions further. Jenna's hesitations, her avoidance, painted a picture that words could not. Yet Cassidy needed to hear it, to have the betrayal spelled out no matter how painful it might be. Jenna's usual composure started to falter under the relentless pursuit. "I've done nothing wrong," she retorted, but her eyes darted away, avoiding Cassidy's penetrating gaze. The weight of her actions and the impending exposure bore down on her with each passing second. Her resistance weakened, guilt clouding her eyes. Jenna crumbled, tears streaming down. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. The floodgates opened and outpoured the confessions, the lies, the manipulations, the dark secrets she'd been harboring were now out in the open, leaving Cassidy reeling. "The truth is, I've been seeing Caleb's father. We wanted Caleb to live with us." The revelation was a dagger to Cassidy's heart. The depth of Jenna's betrayal was incomprehensible. Not only had she interfered with her son, but she was involved with the one man Cassidy had vowed to forget. Cassidy stood numb. The pain was too profound, too personal. A bond once sacred was now shattered. Jenna's betrayal had affected the very core of her family. Trust, so freely given to a friend, had been exploited in the worst possible way. The confrontation was draining. Both women were raw with emotion. The chasm between them was insurmountable. Jenna's choices had irreparably damaged a once beautiful friendship. Their relationship stood at an impasse, possibly beyond any hope of reconciliation. Though shattered, Cassidy's spirit was not broken. Her love for Caleb was unyielding. Jenna's deceptions, while painful, only solidified her resolve to mend the bond with her son. Whatever battles lay ahead, Cassidy was prepared for her son. She'd move mountains, confront any adversary, and rebuild the trust that had been eroded. Night after night, Cassidy sat in her study, charting a roadmap to save her relationship with Caleb. The deceitful whispers of Jenna and his father had created a web of manipulation, but Cassidy believed in the strength of a mother's bond. With a determined spirit, she plotted steps to reconnect with her son, To combat the external influences that threatened their bond, Cassidy took every opportunity to create special moments with Caleb. Picnics in the park, movie nights at home, and heart-to-heart chats became their new routine. These seemingly simple activities laid the foundation for restoring trust, allowing Caleb to see the unwavering love his mother had for him. One evening, Cassidy took a deep breath and broached the sensitive topic. "Caleb," she began gently, "we need to talk about Jenna and your dad." As they navigated the revelations, tears were shed and emotions ran high. Caleb listened intently, struggling to reconcile the picture they painted with what he believed. Caleb's initial reactions were a mix of confusion and anger, but as days turned into weeks, subtle changes became apparent. His curt responses transformed into genuine conversations, a glimmer of hope that suggested he was beginning to understand the gravity of the situation. Together, Cassidy and Caleb confronted the challenges ahead. They attended counseling, leaning on one another for support. Their unity was a beacon against the manipulative tactics of Jenna and Caleb's father. With shared determination, they faced the storm head on. With the bond between mother and son growing stronger, they have rebuilt their fractured bond through honesty and patience, overcoming the deceit that had once divided them. Their shared memories brought healing and reinforced their deep connection. Meanwhile, Jenna and Caleb's father faced isolation and strained relationships due to the consequences of their betrayal. Despite the challenges, Cassidy and Caleb emerged stronger, cherishing their unbreakable love and vowing to protect their relationship from external forces. Their story became a powerful testament to a mother's enduring love and resilience, proving that love could triumph over deceit and pain. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one.